here in the parish, so it was really special that they both were able to attend. But before we talk about Rome, just before Rome, you also had another special visit. You had a very special summer this year because both of them also went out to work for a week with a group of 13 young adults from our parish, as well as about 8 adults as well, and working in the baths in Lourdes. So that was a special privilege for you as well. So maybe just tell us a little bit about that briefly, your little trip to Lourdes. So tell us a little bit about your working in the baths. Hannah, if you want to start.
So this year I got to work in the immersion side of the baths. So it's the traditional way, as everyone knows. The pilgrims come in of all ages, abilities. Some come in on wheelchairs, some come on a stretcher, some just walk in. But they come in as an individual, and you stay with them and you pray and you invite them to give their intentions to Our Lady. And then when they're ready, you walk with them towards Our Lady, a statue of Our Lady. And when they're ready, you immerse them into the holy water and you bring them back up. And then on the way back, you pray with them again. It's just a lovely experience. It's so calm and reverent, but so powerful to be involved in someone's so special and private moment. So it was a really honour to be there, and I really enjoyed it this year.
Thank you, Hannah. And both of you worked not only in the immersions, but you worked in the water gesture as well. So maybe you, Amelia, tell us a little bit about it.
So the water gesture came out after COVID when the immersions weren't possible. And the idea came from the apparition. When Our Lady appeared to Bernadette, she asked her to wash her hands with the water, to wash her face and to drink the water. So that's what the 3 water gestures are. So people can come in individually or as groups, and we say a prayer with them. They can say their intention, and then we do the 3 water gestures, and then we say another prayer. So they stayed on since COVID because they're just as special as the immersions.
Thank you, Amelia. Yeah, they were special. But as well as maybe working about 5 or 6 hours a day in the baths, we also made it our little parish pilgrim in a sense, because we had some time that we were able to do other things. So maybe you want to just highlight a few of them for us?
So we were very lucky. We had a nice group, and every couple of days or every evening we tried to gather together. So we got to do the high stations as a group with Father Dunphy, and then we got to do the procession. We got to process behind our GK Youth banner in the processions, the candlelit procession, which was lovely to join as a group. But one of my favourite parts was the rosary every evening, that we got to connect back with everyone at home here. So you got to see all the names popping up of our local parishioners. It was so lovely to know that while we were out there, you were also joining us in prayer as well. So it was lovely to be together.
Thanks, Hannah. Just to acknowledge that Hannah was the person who made that possible, because she's the one that held up the camera for us to celebrate and pray the rosary every night opposite the Grasso. And it was lovely that there was literally thousands of people joining us over the week with that special moment. We also had processions, and we had some masses ourselves. We celebrated all of that as well. And then the middle mass, which is not an Irish mass normally, it's a big mass in Lourdes every week. And Amelia, you want to tell us about that?
So the Medal Mass is part of the programme that we're on. So myself and Hannah are after finishing our 3rd year this year, and it's a 5-year programme. So to get the medal, you go to the Medal Mass. And we have been invited since we started in our 1st year to sing at the Medal Mass, and we play at it too. And I think it's just such a special experience to be able to do it. And we were asked to sing Lady of Knock at the end of our Mass this year, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and it really went down well, and got so many compliments. Just to say about our young people in particular, I know our adults were really special, but with our 13 young adults, and they worked serving the poor and the sick all week, and they never didn't have a smile on their face. They were so happy and joyful serving, which was really, really very special. So well done, and they're continuing that tradition. In 2 years' time, please God, they will get our medals. We had a number of 1st years starting this year, and some 2nd years and 3rd years and then they'll work towards the medal. And that's sort of a little program that Isabel started in her parish, because she herself goes out to volunteer, and she wanted every year, and she wanted that work to continue for Mary, bringing people out to help and work in Lourdes. So long may that continue. So I'll move on then a little bit to Rome for then, and that was a very, very special gathering as well. And Amelia, you might tell us how many people were there, many young people were there in Rome from all over the world.
There was over 1 million.
Over 1 million. And how many from Ireland?
About 600.
About 600 from Ireland. And how many from our diocese?
20.
20 from our diocese with Bishop Dennis and 2 priests, and 2 from our parish, a part of that, which is great. Okay, and so imagine just thinking that a million young people gathering together in Lourdes. The first night, because we were getting sort of pictures coming back and podcasts or whatever, the first night seemed very special. Tell us a little bit about that.
So the first evening, we all made, in hundreds of thousands, made our way to St. Peter's Basilica, to the square. And we just thought we were getting the opening mass of the whole week of celebrations. And we were all standing after queuing for a few hours in the sun. And there was whispers going around, I think the Pope is coming. And we were saying, no, we won't see him till Saturday. But lo and behold, Pope Leo appeared out on the altar. And there was just, everyone kind of went silent and then realised, no, it is the Pope. And it was so joyous. Everyone, all the young people were delighted. There was everyone turning to each other. No one could believe that the Pope was here with us. So it was a lovely experience. It was a nice surprise. We got to then, at the end of Mass, Pope Leo got into the Pope mobile and he drove down past everyone, and it was so lovely to be so close to the Pope and see everyone was so happy and delighted, and he passed back up past us as well. It was a delight to get waves in at him and everything.
Great. It's lovely to see a young Pope too, isn't it? Yeah, it is. And he spoke English. It's great to hear a Pope being able to speak English, properly. As I mentioned earlier, the Jubilee year of hope this year, and part of Jubilee year, as part of your pilgrimage to Rome this year, you have to go through the doors, the Jubilee doors. So, did you go through them?
So we were very lucky. There's 5 Jubilee doors to go through. Now, we got to go through 4 of them. The 5th one is in a prison, so we were good we didn't end up there. But we got to go through the 4 doors, and it was such a lovely experience. So we went to St. Mary Major's, where Pope Francis is buried. So we got to see his tomb, and that was lovely to experience it as a group together. And then we went to St. John Lateran's, we went to St. Paul's outside the walls, and then finally to St. Peter's Basilica to go through the Holy Doors. The Holy Doors only open once every 25 years, and it was such a lovely experience. You don't just walk through the door as yourself with your own intentions, but you bring the intentions of everyone at home, everyone that has asked you to pray for them or to think of them as you're in Rome. So it was lovely to be able to bring everyone from the parish, keeping them in our hearts as we go through together. So we got to go through all 4 doors. It was a lovely experience.
And that was lovely you were able to do that too, to know that we ourselves back here were able to know that you were bringing our prayers and petitions with you through the doors as well. Amelia, come to you now, because always the highlight of World Youth Day is the Saturday, as you said, this year. So lots of things happened that day and into the next day. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
So the Saturday morning, we were actually surprised because we had to leave our hotel really early with our sleeping bags and our camping stuff. And we were told that we have a Mass in St. Peter's Basilica that morning. And it turned out to be an Irish-led Mass. So you just had this sea of priests and bishops. And it was just so special because they also had this little choir from all the young people around Ireland. And it was just so special when you went up to communion, you turned around to go back to the pew, you just had this city of a church. It was just absolutely special. And then from the Mass, we went to Tor Vergata, which is where the vigil was held. So we took the metro to the end of the line, and then we had a 6.5 kilometre walk up to the vigil site. So it seemed like a lot, but they organised it so well. We had bottles of water everywhere and juice boxes, and they had these trucks full of water mist to spray on us because it was 30-degree heat and there was no shade. So we get there and we set up our little camping site, which is so far away from the altar because everyone had been coming from the day before, apparently. We didn't know about that. So we got there, and then about 2 hours later, we see a helicopter come, and lo and behold, it's the Pope. So he gets out of his helicopter, he gets in his little Pope mobile, and he actually went around to all the little areas, and he just started waving at people. It took him an hour. It was amazing that he did that. So then he carried the Jubilee cross, and he started the adoration, and there was loads of prayers and singing, and it was all in different languages, so people from all different nations got to say their own little bit in their own language, so that was lovely. And then they ended with the hymn, Jesus Christ, You Are My Life, which was just up earlier. It was just so amazing that everybody knew the song, because during the adoration it just got really dark, and everyone just got really sleepy, and they were all sitting down in their little sleeping bags, and then suddenly the song comes on, and they all just get up and start singing and clapping. It was just so special. So the Pope then went, and we were about to go to bed. It was around midnight, and the Bishop Dennis, gets up, and he goes, "Can you guys teach me to play Uno?" So we taught the bishop to play Uno like midnight in the dark. So a little bit of a cheater, but it's okay. So we get up the next morning. The bishop and the two priests left to do the mass, and the Pope came again in his little Pope mobile, and we had mass with the Pope. So that was also extremely special.
With 100 or with 1 million people with the Pope, okay. And I imagine the St. Peter's Basilica, where you see it so much on television, but the fact you went to attend Mass there must have been very, very special. Okay, I'm just nearly finished. Just a few little things more to you. Because it wasn't all just big gathering, because it was also catechesis or teachings, like they were there to learn about their faith a little bit as well. So just tell us a little bit about what you did during those sessions.
So we were lucky to gather as the Irish Pilgrims. So we had 3 speakers over 3 days. We had Bishop Robert Barron, we had Sister Mary Grace, and we had an Irish Bishop, Alan McGuckian. And they got to pose questions to us to make us think about our faith and where we are on our faith journey. But they also gave us time to ask them questions to try and figure out what we were trying to figure out. So it was lovely, and it was nice to have dialogue with other young people, young Irish, that are involved in their faith and sometimes don't feel like you're the only one. So it's lovely to see that there's other people all around the country that are trying to figure out their faith.
That's brilliant. I would have loved to hear Bishop Barron. I'm a big fan of him. I follow him a lot on podcasts and read his books and that. But I think he did tell you about you're like St. Patrick now, going back to Ireland to bring the faith back a little bit as well. But have you your own memory of any of those little catechesis?
So Sister Mary Grace, she was an Australian rugby player, but she left her sports career to join the Sisters. And she spoke of her brother. She went to one of his matches, and they were a good team, but they went to one of the matches and they were playing a bigger team. Bigger, stronger, in every sense, the better team. And the first half went out and it wasn't going well. So they came in at the half-time and the coach told them as much. They weren't playing great, and the other team was better and stronger and bigger. But he said, you're faster and you're more agile. You can think quicker on your feet. So why aren't we doing that? So they made a new plan and went out and they were going to play their game the way that they played. They weren't going to try and match the other team, but do their way. So the message for us was, play to your strengths. We all have gifts from God, and to stay true to those and keep them going. Because no matter what you can do, if you can do your best at with what you've got, you're doing well. But don't be trying to change to do everyone else's gifts.
Brilliant, well done. Okay, use your own gifts and talents, yeah, make the most of them, well done. I'm sure it wasn't all praying and teaching and learning and all of that. Was there some fun elements to the week as well, and did you get sightseeing or anything? Yeah.
Well, after the Sunday vigil, we actually had the full Monday. So we were told we can go in like individual as to go to like visit the city, but we actually loved each other so much as a group. We just stuck as like a little clump going around Rome. So we got to see the Colosseum, the Trevi Fountain, the Pantheon, the Holy Stairs, the Spanish Steps. So it was a full day of adventures. But actually on the Thursday, after one of the catechesis, we had a mass, and there was a lovely girl that sang at it, and she ended up doing a concert for us that evening, and it was just full of like church songs that she made. So it was just lovely to see young people just singing and dancing to church music.
In the Irish College down in West Irish. So it was lovely even get to visit there as well, wasn't it? Because we hear so much about it. Okay, finally then, because we did mention earlier the Pope speaks English well, obviously. So, and I'm sure you've taken some, just give us one little nugget of a message that you heard the Pope speak.
So one of the ones that I'm after taking home is he said that today we're on a journey and the world needs hope, but we as young people are messengers of hope. So it's important that we go home, go back to our parishes, our communities, and to share that hope with everyone, that it's not just for the few days that we were in Rome, that it's for it to continue on when we come home. So I want to take that home and hope that we'll spread it around.
Okay, well, you certainly have been messengers of hope as well. Amelia, have you any little nugget?
Well, during the Jubilee, during the vigil, he mentioned that friendship can truly change the world, both with God and with ourselves. I just thought it was really relevant to say that to 1 million young people who are all there to celebrate the Eucharist, especially when we came with like this group of young people, and you could talk about God and going to church without any kind of awkwardness. So it was just such a special moment to see 1 million young people be in the same position as us. So thank you, Father John, for the opportunity, and thank you for the parish for sponsoring the trip, because it was truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience that we'll never forget.
Thank you. We can let that. Well done to you. These two young people are just so actively involved in bringing on other young people in our parish, particularly younger than themselves. So well done. You just mentioned their friendship. You know, like the 4 things we always use was what? We have faith, friendship, fun, and food. And I'm sure you're fed up of pizzas and spaghetti at this stage. So well done. Thanks again. God bless you. Cheers. Well done, girls. They're going back up to the choir.